Batman versus Spider-Man is an iconic fight, but today, well, we're switching it up a little bit. Take Spider-Man out of the streets of New York City and throw him into the crime-ridden alleyways of Gotham instead. How would the web crawler do while fighting against Batman's villains? Joker, Bane, Poison Ivy, and more. And can Spider-Man come out on top? Well, today, that's what we're going to find out. Good old Peter Parker. Like with strength, he's able to easily throw around cars and trucks, even lift subway cars clear over his head, or even private jets. Heck, Peter is able to lift up one of those massive construction cranes, or even basically help support and lift up buildings all by himself. And man, Spidey can use all that strength and throw one heck of a punch. He's been able to fight against some of his toughest villains, Venom, Rhino, Electro, and punch them clean through buildings. That's just a regular thing for him. On one hand, Peter can knock out a guy with just one finger, and on the other hand, he can actually injure the Hulk. No doubt about it, Spider-Man is stupid strong. He's also incredibly tough. Spider-Man has taken punches from Juggernaut, Hulk, Apocalypse, Hercules, and Gladiator, been just fine. Spider-Man actually rests by letting normal people punch him. That's how tough he is. He's taken lightning from Thor, over 100,000 volts of electricity, and okay, he's taking grenades at point blank range, repeatedly taking blasts and attacks from different Iron Man armors. Spidey's even survived a Scud missile exploding right on top of him. He's pretty much immediately recovered from nerve strikes from Iron Fist. Spider-Man is also pretty much immune to any toxin or chemical attack because his body can just instantly filter it out. His body's even held off enough toxin to wipe out an entire city. Then finally, Spider-Man is legit one of the fastest and one of the most agile characters in all of comics. He's able to move faster than the eye can see and just appear like a blur to even well-trained fighters. He can literally move across miles in just seconds. And forget just simply dodging bullets. That stuff is too easy for Spider-Man at this point. He's legit dodging lightning and dodging energy blast. Even energy blasts that are supposedly faster than light itself. And all that translates into Spider-Man routinely being able to speed blitz most opponents he goes up against, even with the likes of Black Panther or Daredevil or other master martial artists. Even though they might be more skilled than Pete, Spider-Man is just so much faster that he's gonna land his hits anyways. Spider-Man also has the perfect counter to pretty much anything that comes his way, the Spider Sense. Spider-Man will know every move that his opponent's about to make, just because his Spider Sense is gonna tell him. And the Spider Sense isn't just a warning system telling him when he's about to get hit, but it's also essentially a radar, giving him complete awareness of all his surroundings. There's also Spider-Man's web shooters to take into account. They've been able to restrain the likes of Iron Man, even Hercules, and other gods. And on top of that, Spider-Man's webbing is basically fireproof, acid-proof, and nearly impossible to cut through. And Peter also isn't really a bad fighter either. In fact, Spider-Man has worked with the top martial arts expert in Marvel, Shang-Chi, to develop his own personal fighting style called the Way of the Spider, meant to enhance his spider powers and give Peter some measure of fighting skill. Now, if we're starting out with Penguin, well, I think we all know that Spider-Man would absolutely wipe the floor here. At best, for Oswald Cobblepot, the best you can say for him is, well, he's just a weaker and lesser version of Kingpin. And like a way weaker version of Kingpin. Well, Spider-Man is no stranger to fighting against gangsters just like this, and he would casually put Penguin in his place. Now, the Riddler obviously doesn't pose any kind of physical threat to Spider-Man, and he honestly doesn't pose that much of a mental or intellectual threat to him either. Sure, you can argue that Peter's intellect is more based on science, while Riddler works more in the detective, problem-solving world. But still, Spider-Man is one of the smartest guys in the Marvel Universe. Definitely top 10. Between that and his insane physical power, well, I don't think Riddler is going to pose any more of a threat to him than he does to Batman. Now, this one is actually pretty interesting, because obviously Joker isn't a physical threat to Spider-Man. He's barely a physical threat to Batman. But Joker's whole thing is getting inside a person's head and just being absolutely crazy and pure evil. Problem is, well, this isn't really anything that Spider-Man hasn't faced before. Like, just take a look at someone like Green Goblin, or especially Carnage. I don't see Joker doing any more damage to Spider-Man's psyche than Green Goblin has over the years. And Peter still managed to take down Osborn every time. And for as much as we want to say that Spider-Man would be terrified of the Joker, there's also the fact that Joker just wouldn't be able to hang with a hero who's funnier than him. All of Spider-Man's quips would instantly throw Joker off his game and get in his head. Yeah, Spider-Man is winning this one with ease. Because you look at Scarecrow, while Mysterio is in a lot of ways just the same villain. Arguably a better version of Scarecrow on the illusion front, although Scarecrow has his fear gas to make illusions for him. But still, it's nothing that Spider-Man hasn't faced before. He's fought his way through plenty of illusions through the years, and Scarecrow's gas would be no different. Man-Bat might be a physical threat to Batman, but Spider-Man is going to have absolutely no problem taking him down. Spider-Man is stronger, he's faster, he's tougher, his webs would for sure hold Man-Bat down, and Pete has plenty of experience battling flying villains with going up against the Vulture. Easy win. Now, Killer Croc can be wildly inconsistent at times, so his power level can definitely fluctuate, but by and large, well, Croc is considerably weaker than Lizard. Lizard's stronger, faster, tougher, has a better healing factor, and that's the guy that Spider-Man is forced to fight against. Going up against Croc would just be like fighting Lizard on easy mode. There's really no way that Spider-Man would lose that fight. Going up against Mr. Freeze, well, more than anything, Spider-Man would have sympathy for him in a situation and would just do everything in his power to try and help him find a cure for his wife. Realistically, that's how a hero like Spider-Man would beat a villain like Mr. Freeze. But in an actual fight, well, Spider-Man is still beating him. He's way fast enough to dodge any ice blast Freeze shoots his way, and is definitely strong enough to just punch his way through Freeze's armor. Clayface might have been a tough villain for Spider-Man if he didn't already have his own version of Clayface in Sandman. And honestly, in a lot of ways, well, Sandman is the better one out of the two and is the more powerful villain. Heck, if Sandman used his powers to their fullest potential, well, he's like a seriously powerful villain. And that's the guy Spider-Man is constantly forced to fight. So it's really just the same as the Killer Croc and Lizard discussion. Fighting Clayface is like just fighting a weaker version of Sandman, albeit without as clear a weakness as water. Either way though, Spider-Man is more than capable of handling something like this. Bane is a better and more skilled fighter than Spider-Man. He's a guy who can consistently match up with Batman and the Bat family. He's probably strong and tough enough to actually be a physical threat to Spider-Man. But let's be real, Peter is more than capable of beating Bane, and he would pretty much every single time. Spider-Man is still stronger, he's still tougher, and he's way, way faster and more agile than Bane's ever been. He's also just consistently fought against way more powerful threats than Bane, like Venom, Rhino, etc. So Bane just being a more skilled fighter isn't going to be enough to turn the tide in his favor in any real way. Let me say this, Poison Ivy could definitely beat Spider-Man if she decided to use her powers to their fullest potential. That's definitely a thing that could happen. And I'm talking the fullest potential, where she's attached to the green and could straight up transform Spider-Man into a tree. But realistically, while Spider-Man has just as much a shot at beating her in a fight, she's gonna have a real hard time actually tagging him with any of her vines and plants. Her pheromones would probably work, but just as likely that Spider-Man would just create a makeshift gas mask out of his webbing. And end of the day, she is still human. Spider-Man has to land just one hit here, and he's got the speed and agility to get past all of Ivy's defenses and do it. Probably the Batman villain who would give Spider-Man the hardest time would be Deathstroke, considering Deathstroke is basically if you just take the physical power of a Captain America and combine it with the fighting skill of Batman and add on a bunch of deadly weapons and the ability to use them. That's enough to beat even someone as powerful as Spider-Man, if he's not taking the fight seriously. After all, he's definitely struggled against super soldier fighters like Captain America or Black Panther before. But then if Spider-Man is actually trying to beat Deathstroke, well then Slade isn't going to be landing too many hits. Spider-Man's shown that he can casually dodge even from elite fighters, with a track record of beating people like Kraven and Taskmaster. I really have no problem with saying that he can beat Deathstroke too. End of the day, Spider-Man fighting in the streets of Gotham City would honestly be a nice break for Peter, because at the end of the day, most of Batman's rogues are just humans who are trying to mentally break Batman, while a lot of Spider-Man's rogues are superhumans who are trying to mentally break Spider-Man. And considering that Spider-Man is skilled enough and powerful enough to force his own rogues to constantly team up to even get a shot at taking him down, well, I don't think Batman's villains are going to have any better luck. Spider-Man wins here.